so far. How do you see it?
Green light for tech. I mean, we haven't seen in many months, maybe a couple of years, such a big gap pre-market between the Dow, the value-oriented index, which is down about 40 bips, and tech, which is up around 1.5. So as you point out, I mean, there's about a 2% gap between value and growth. Tech hasn't really performed as strongly as I think it will or potentially can in the weeks to come. Obviously, today after market is going to be a big day, but being up close to 20%. I mean, Meta is really kicking things off. I mean, this is a big move. They are a 150 stock, $150 stock. About 13 months ago, they were closer to 320. So they've got a lot of room to grow.
Mark.
Wanted to get your take on, a lot of people are predicting a profits recession this year. And if I'm looking at my screen right, it looks like this earnings season so far, earnings are slightly negative, down 0.37%. Tech in particular, negative earnings growth of negative 13%. So what's your take on whether or not there's going to be a profits recession this year?
Well, Mark, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there have been revised expectations. I mean, Meta, which is up close to 20% pre-market, is a great example. We've got to remember that for the past 6 to 9 months, we've seen more than 100 to 200,000 technology jobs disappear. So they've been taking costs, putting costs in perspective, and focusing on efficiency and squeezing margin. And now that the market's already seen this, they're pricing in, I think, revised expectations. I think they have very low expectations, and I think that's the best time to come out with earnings beats, which is what we're seeing now. Many of these small to mid-cap stocks have really rallied a lot. Some are up over 100%. Many are up over 30, 40% year to date.
Yeah.
And again, Meta's a big mover. We're going to see more this afternoon, I think.
Well, that's why I really wanted to zero in on Apple, because when you get the Apple earnings, you're getting a window into the consumer, you're getting a window into China, the supply chain, and by the way, the valuation at $2.3 trillion, highest market value of any company, big shoes to fill there. Are they going to do it? The stock is up 1.33% right now.
Yeah, we primarily focus on smaller companies. Probably our biggest cap companies are NVIDIA, which is certainly doing great. ChatGPT is certainly moving them.
Yeah.
We've got a major position made up, but otherwise, most of the growth, most of the movement has been the smaller tech companies, the mid caps. We're seeing a lot with cloud and so forth. So while Apple is a closely monitored stock, they've actually been underperforming many of the other tech stocks. And I think if investors are looking for a place to get their money, they're not going to find it from the Apples and the Microsofts of the world. They're going to find it from the smaller mid-cap stocks.
Good point, Liz.
So do you think that Meta's performance has more to do with their earnings guidance and their performance in terms of viewers, or is it the stock buyback? And is that something we might expect to see from a lot of these tech companies that are cash rich?
Well, I mean, it's actually both. I mean, when you look at Meta, I mean, from an earnings standpoint, if you look at them just right now, their total enterprise value to EBIT is about 7 versus the benchmark in the sector is about 17. So they've been, ironically, they're a high growth stock for many years. They're now, from a pricing standpoint, closer to a value stock in terms of the way people are looking at them, because they've been beat up. So it's both things. It's both the buyback, which is certainly encouraging, but it's also the fact that they've, as they would say, the year of efficiency. They've gotten their costs in gear. And we've got to remember, too, all these layoffs has not really hurt our unemployment in the U.S. I mean, it's the lowest it's been in 70 years. It's 3.5%. We're going to find out more in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But the unemployment's not really been affected.
Yep.
And so we're seeing most of the job layoffs are foreign workers, these major multinationals laying off international workers, and the H-1Bs, the people working in the U.S. from India, China, many of these other places are being laid off.
Well, we'll get the jobs numbers out tomorrow morning, and we've got all hands on deck on the jobs numbers for January. We'll see what that says. Joel, it's great to see you. Thanks very much, Joel Shulman. Real quick, Sam Waxel, we've had some pharmaceutical earnings out today. You obviously feel that's where the growth is in this economy.
I do. I mean, I think there's going to be growth in the economy anyway, because I don't believe we're going to have a real recession in this country, and that's because we don't have unemployment. So I think the economy is going to do much better than a lot of people think. But in the medical industry, I think we're doing a great job. Eli Lilly growing, and it's going to grow a lot. Mounjaro is going to be a really, really important drug for Eli Lilly.
We're going to talk more about this.
And that's a big deal. But all of biotech and pharma is going to be important.
I want to get to some details from Sam Waxel in the next block. Much more ahead this morning coming out. We are talking about medical breakthroughs. That's coming up. And then at 8:30 a.m., we've got the latest jobs data. We've got the initial jobless claims coming out. We'll have those numbers as they cross the tape. You're watching Mornings with Maria live on Fox Business. We'll be right back.